Hey guys, welcome back. How about that for an intro, eh? Silent Shadow have never looked so good. I want to give an insane props to Elzie for the 3D animation work on the intro, to Pixelflare for the 2D stuff, and also my entire new branding suite, my new logo, banner, and everything. Jafet for the music, and AbiSV1 for the insanely well-made custom Silent Shadow model. That intro is just double chef's kiss, absolute work of art. And how timely as well. We teased that intro like 2 days ago, and not even 2 hours later, 343 announced the Silent Shadow in Halo Infinite. So, I mean, the stars aligned, but that intro, dude. Whew. But anyways, on to the topic of today's video. Today I want to talk about what's next for Halo Infinite. So, since the delay, I feel like we've kind of been thrown into a limbo with this game. Since E3 2019, we've been expecting this game to come out holiday 2020, and now all of a sudden, that's not happening, and there doesn't appear to be any end in sight beyond 2021, some point in 2021. Now, I was originally waiting for 343 to release like a more elaborative waypoint post about the delay, going into more details as to why it's delayed, and maybe even give us like a rough release window, but I waited, the waypoint posts came and went, and we never got any more details, so, you know, it's time to make this video. Now, I did refilm some of this video a few days later because we got some updates on some certain things, so before you start putting weird comments down below, no, I did not go and get changed halfway through recording a video. I just had to record some of this stuff again a few days later. But yeah, I just want to talk about what's next for Halo Infinite. Sounds like kind of a broad topic, but I've got some talking points, I've got a few things that I want to discuss, so let's waste no more time and get right into it. Firstly, we have the release date. We still have no idea whatsoever when this game is coming out beyond, of course, 2021. We don't even have like a rough window. I was kind of expecting 343 to delay the game and then say it's coming out spring 2021 or fall 2021, but we got nothing. We didn't even get a slight indication as to when it's coming out. Now, don't get me wrong, it is still very much early days. The game was delayed like less than a month ago at this point, and it was clear that delaying the game was a very, very last minute decision at 343 and Microsoft, considering that like even a week or maybe even 2 weeks after the gameplay showcase, they were still saying the game was coming out this year with the Series X. They were still adamant that it was. So it's clear that this delay kind of just came out of nowhere. It's clear that it was a very last minute decision, which I'm fine with. But regardless, I feel like them not giving a sort of rough release window is slightly concerning, because if it was going to be early 2021, then I really feel like people would have said, like, yeah, delayed till spring or summer 2021, kind of like how Cyberpunk did that, and also The Last of Us 2, when they delayed their games, they gave rough windows as to when they were still coming out. Whereas with Infinite, the only rough window we have is an entire year, which is a very, very rough window. And then of course, the release date of the game is dictated entirely by why the game was delayed in the first place, right? So if it was just to polish the game up a little bit more, maybe smooth out some animations, polish up the graphics, and make the game just look a bit more presentable and launch ready, then I would predict that maybe like an early like spring, maybe even summer 2021 release makes more sense. But if there's like more wrong with the game under the hood, and if there's more than just graphical issues with the game, then I'd say that fall/holiday 2021, so another year, is more likely. I will say, Joe Staten being hired to help 343 kind of get the campaign ready for launch makes me feel like it's going to be fall or holiday. I mean, I don't really know, I genuinely don't know how much you could maybe get done in like 5 or 6 months. I feel like for him being there to make a true impact, the game's got to be delayed for like another year at least. It has to be. Of course, these are just assumptions that I'm making. I know nothing about this. I know nothing about the nature of video game delays. I'm truly an armchair developer in this situation. I know nothing for sure. It's just what I'm thinking right now, just based off what's going around in my head. And then, of course, another thing that we're going to touch on a bit more later is when the game is delayed until also dictates the sort of roadmap for the next year based on like marketing and when they're going to start revealing more info about the game. So if the game is going to be like an early 2021 release, then marketing and a beta should maybe start happening soon. You'd think they want to start getting the wheels going, getting the train in motion. But if the game is delayed until late 2021, like this time next year, then I wouldn't expect at least marketing to start for quite a while, especially after the issues with Halo 5, where they marketed it way too early, and people started getting confused. They clearly want to avoid that with Infinite, so if the game is going to be like a fall or holiday 2021 release, then I wouldn't expect any of that stuff to start for a while. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe we've gone in like a very strange circle. So when Halo 5 came out, the original plan was for the Halo TV show to launch at the same time as Halo 5, like Forward Unto Dawn did with Halo 4. Maybe, now obviously that didn't happen, maybe that's going to happen with Infinite. Maybe the Halo TV show is going to launch in tandem with Infinite. I don't know. Just a thought that came to mind. If that ended up happening, it would be a crazy turn of fate. The fact that that show was meant to come out with Halo 5 and instead ends up coming out with Infinite, it's just a testament to how much that show has been delayed. But that is a whole different topic for a whole different day. Ultimately, I am totally on board with whatever release date or release window 343 choose for this game, as long as it means that, well, A, the game launches in the absolute best state possible with all the content there at launch that we expect from a Halo game and at the quality that we expect from a Halo game, and B, it helps the staff and the studio avoid crunch and ridiculous overtime to get the game out the door on time. As long as those two things are assured, then honestly, spring release, fall release, holiday release, I'm fine with any of them. Just make sure that those two conditions are met and we're good to go. Will it suck having to wait another year for Halo Infinite potentially? Yeah, it really will. But will it be worth it in the end if the game launches in the perfect state? Then yes, absolutely, it will be worth it. The wait will have been worth it. I know 6 years is an absurd amount of time to wait for a game, but if it launches how we all think it should launch, and another year is what they need to do that, then just let them have it. Just let them have it. However, there's one thing that really does worry me if the game is potentially going to come out next holiday or fall. And I mean, even if it doesn't, even if it comes out in like spring, summer. And that thing is the dry period. So we all thought the dry period was over in July. And it turns out that it might not be, especially if the game comes out late next year. I really, really hope that we don't fall back into a dry period, because it wasn't beneficial at all. I know obviously content creators are a very small portion of the overall Halo community, but I've got to say the dry period was excruciating at times for people trying to make content for this game. Not having anything new to talk about really sucked. And I'm really hoping that we don't fall back into that, but I worry that we might do. It's really not beneficial to show 5 minutes of gameplay that realistically, outside of the Halo community, wasn't received particularly well. As much as I enjoyed it, that Infinite gameplay wasn't received particularly well by the overall gaming community. It's not beneficial to show that and then just go radio silent for like another year or whatever. Like, you've got to keep up the constant or semi-constant stream of new releases and new info drops and stuff. And so far, 343 have been pretty good with this, honestly. We've had all of the soundtrack releases since the gameplay reveal. We've had 3 tracks released so far, which is great. And then also, the other day, we had the Jaeger Udomnai, Silent Shadow, and the Blade Master and Hand of Atriox reveal, along with the Mark 7 lore as well, which is great. Little info drops like that, that teasers about more aspects of the game are fantastic. But at the same time, they can't just keep doing these things, because they're going to hit a point where they've just revealed the entire game in Waypoint Post. There's going to be no surprises left in the actual game. So these like Jaeger Udomnai, Mark 7 lore reveals are definitely finite and can't go on forever. We also have Shadows of Reach releasing in October, which will undoubtedly be a massive info drop. that book is going to be really, really juicy. I can just tell now. And there's going to be a lot of content to make and a lot of things to discuss regarding that book and the details in it. But after that, after Shadow of Reach, after October, we kind of have nothing until release, whenever that ends up being. But with that said, there are definitely things that could fill that gap. I mean, we had the Sprint series for Halo 5, which was great, like 3 seasons of essentially extended Vidocs, which were fantastic and kept people interested up to launch. You could also do things like, I don't know, semi-frequent dev videos or dev blogs or dev streams, giving us like tiny little glimpses at new pieces of Infinite that are going to be in the game, or new things you've developed, or hell, things that you've improved. That's a good way to do it, actually. Give us a small glimpse at things that have improved since the gameplay reveal. That would be a great way to get the sort of people that are more skeptical about this game back on board and excited for launch. If we can reassure the people who went into that gameplay reveal excited and came out kind of skeptical, like I know a lot of people did, that the things they're skeptical about have changed for the better, then it'll really help get everyone positive again for launch. And I think like dev blogs or dev streams or dev videos or something, at least like semi-consistently, are a good way to do that. And then of course you've got the usual like alternate reality games and like marketing cycles that are going to kick in. Obviously they are going to happen later on, closer to launch, whenever the hell that's going to be. But I mean, the sooner they can start, ARGs in particular, the better, because they're a really good sort of way to keep people preoccupied in the community and get them focused on one thing and not worrying about when the next content drop's going to be. ARGs are huge for that, and Halo has historically had really good ones, so fingers crossed we get some good ones for Infinite. Now actually, whilst we're on the topic of marketing and content droughts and content releases, it seems that some of the promotions that Infinite was going to have with various companies are starting to go live. Promotions that were probably meant to go live around the original release date of the game, which was probably like November with the Series X. Seems like the companies are kind of like, you know what, the game's not coming out this year, we're not waiting for a year, let's just release them now. So the Monster Energy Halo Infinite Snapchat promotion has gone live. So if you scan a Halo Infinite Monster Energy can, you can get like a 3D tour of the Infinite Warthog on Snapchat, which is pretty cool. And then if you swap to the front-facing camera on a Snapchat, you can get an Infinite Chi face filter as well, which actually looks pretty damn cool. I don't drink Monster, I don't drink energy drinks like at all, but I kind of want to try this thing out. And then, oh my god, legit 10 minutes after I finish filming this video, 343 then go ahead and release a bunch of the Monster Energy Adrenal weapon skins for Infinite, giving us our first look at Infinite weapon skins. We have a green Adrenal skin for the AR, the battle rifle, the sidekick, and the commando rifle. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm really liking the look of these skins, even if they are Monster Energy skins, which is a bit cringy. I'm liking the look of them. They look really cool. And I mean, the weapons as well, the actual detailing on the weapons looks immaculate. They look really, really high detail, and honestly, night and day different to what we saw in the gameplay reveal and even the gameplay trailer. That BR, dude. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
And then also the Nerf MA40 blaster that comes with a code for a weapon skin and also a weapon charm, which confirms weapon charms in Halo Infinite, which I'm very down for. I think weapon charms are a pretty cool cosmetic item, so I'm down for that. You can already redeem the AR skin code and the weapon charm code on Halo Waypoint. So you know what? I've got a feeling that for the next few months, most of our info drops for Infinite are going to come from like brand promotions that were meant to go live around the original launch that are just going to go live anyway, even though the game's not coming out. So, you know what, fellas? The last year has conditioned us to be kind of understanding about getting Infinite news from weird sources like Mega Bloks. So this isn't really that out of the ordinary for us, to be quite honest. We should be used to this. We should be expecting this, quite honestly. Something else that we're yet to get even like a rough date for, not even like a slightly rough date, is the Halo Infinite multiplayer reveal. The only thing we know about multiplayer so far is free to play, and that is it. Originally, before the delay, I was thinking that they were maybe going to show that off during the August Xbox event, which actually, by the way, never ended up happening. Okay, fair enough. never ended up happening. But obviously Infinite got delayed, so even if it did happen, I doubt that we would have seen it there. I'd like to think that we'd get the multiplayer reveal by the end of this year, even with the delay. But again, going back to what I said earlier, that is dictated almost entirely by when the game is delayed till, and we don't know that yet. So again, if the game is maybe coming out in like early 2021, then yeah, I'd expect a multiplayer reveal soon. But if it's late 2021, then probably not. I think ultimately, like, what it comes down to is we've still seen next to nothing of Infinite. We saw like at most 5 minutes of actual gameplay in July, about 2.5 minutes of cutscenes, and that's it. Like, we've not seen anything else, and I feel like a multiplayer reveal would really spice that up and would really like help that sort of lack of information out. It would give us a lot of information, but at the same time, given that the game was only recently delayed, I don't think they're going to start doing a multiplayer reveal when they've just delayed the game to work on it for longer. It seems kind of counterintuitive. I will say that it's weird that the game was scheduled to release in 3 to 4 months until like 2 weeks ago. And even then, like even before the delay, we had no rough window or anything as to when we were going to get a multiplayer reveal. And obviously the August event for Xbox didn't happen. So unless 343 did their own show in August doing the multiplayer reveal, like, when would it have happened? Like, this is kind of off topic, but this game just seems to be so weird in the way that it's being marketed and released, and just everything surrounding this game seems strange to me. It seems like there's no real plan. Obviously, I know COVID has thrown everything into the air, and that's perfectly, that's fine. Like, everybody working from home in something as collaborative as game development is not easy, and I do not envy them at all, but it just seems like there's no plan for any of this. It seems like, I don't know, dude, it just seems strange, really weird to me. Like, even that announcement that the multiplayer is free to play, that came out of absolutely nowhere. Like, it was just random. They just tweeted it one day randomly. They hadn't even mentioned multiplayer before that. They just randomly said on Twitter, like, oh yeah, by the way, guys, Infinite multiplayer is free to play. Like, okay, that's cool. Could we see it, maybe?
May I see it? No.
One last thing that I want to mention on this topic as well is that when it comes to the actual multiplayer reveal, I really hope that they show more than just like a 4v4 Slayer match. Like, for example, with Halo 5, they just showed like a 4v4 Slayer match on Truth, and it's cool and all, but with how big Infinite is slated to be, I feel like the multiplayer reveal has got to be like a highlight of the entire spectrum of Infinite's multiplayer suite. Show off like little bits of all the different facets of the suite. Like really highlight the entire suite of features that Infinite's multiplayer is going to have, as opposed to just showing off some like kind of run-of-the-mill Slayer gameplay. Do something next level. Really market this game as something big for Halo. And lastly, something that I just want to kind of briefly mention is the idea of a beta. So when the gameplay reveal came out, Chris Lee said, like, look, we don't know if we can even do a beta for this game, let alone flighting, but that was before the delay. Now that the game has been delayed, there is no excuse, regardless of when the game's coming out, to not have a beta of some sort. Like, even if you don't do a long-term flighting program, there's no excuse not to have a beta of some sort for this game. And then again, back to what we said earlier, the nature of the beta, or flighting, is dictated entirely by when the game's coming out, by when it's been delayed until. So if it's been delayed until like spring, summer 2021, then I wouldn't expect a flighting program, because obviously flighting programs are more long-term. I would expect just a beta. I mean, hell, a pipe dream is maybe have a beta that launches with the Series X, so there's a reason for Halo fans to actually buy the Series X at launch. Maybe that could be a cool thing that you could do. I don't know how Microsoft would feel marketing their next-gen console around a beta, but I don't know, maybe, just a thought. But on the other hand, if the game is coming out in like fall or holiday next year, then 343 have got a lot more time to implement their original flighting program plans. that they had originally for Infinite, where it was going to start small and grow larger over time with the user base, just like Reach PC and Halo 2 PC and Halo 3 PC and ODST and everything. That flighting program idea was a really damn good idea, and I really hope V4.3 can implement it still. I really hope that work from home and COVID don't screw that up if the game is coming out later next year, of course. It's a fantastic way to test your game and gather user data across like a long stretch of time and not just a single moment in time like a beta is. It's a fantastic way to do that. Something as well that I only recently thought of is that if they do like a Reach PC flighting program for Infinite, then surely, like Reach PC, they're going to want to test campaign as well, which means that the flights could potentially contain like maybe like a small cross-section of campaign, like maybe that E3 section with the 3 AA towers, maybe that's like testable or something. I don't know, just a crazy thought, but given that Reach PC's flights were based on like every facet of the game and not just multiplayer, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, unlike a beta, the flights were more based around the entire game as opposed to just multiplayer. So maybe if the game is coming out later next year, we can test campaign or something next year. I don't know, just a thought, but like I said at the start of the video, as long as V4.3 can launch the game in the state that it needs to be launched in and also avoid crunch, I'm fine with whenever they choose to release it. And I think that's all I really want to discuss for today. I just wanted to do another one of these kind of general unscripted discussion videos about this topic because it really feels like Halo Infinite right now is stuck in this sort of limbo between the game being delayed and getting official information from V4.3 as to what's happening next. It feels like the game is sort of stuck in this middle limbo right now, so I thought we'd discuss it a little bit. My next videos are going to be more scripted though. My next one should be a top 7 countdown regarding 7 weapons that I would love to see return in Infinite. 7 weapons that I don't think you guys are going to predict. There's some real curveballs in there that I would love to see return. And then after that, I've got some really cool Brute lore videos scheduled that I know some of you guys are going to love, so look out for those bad boys. And so, with all that said, I want to give a massive thank you to all of my patrons for the continued support over there on the old Patreon. The old Patreon. I don't know what that was meant to be. I'm not even going to pretend to know. And thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I'll catch you all in the next one.